Hello, everyone, and welcome to Breathe. So, this is going to be an exciting video because we get to talk a little bit about some of the science behind Breathe, why it works. You can just understand a little more what's going on behind the scenes and what makes this exercise so useful for things like test taking, for things like academic achievement, and why we even basically care about this exercise. So, if you've already seen this introductory video and you want to just go ahead and go to the guided exercise, you can just jump ahead to our next video, right? That's where I'm going to actually guide you through the exercise. We're going to practice it together. But if you haven't seen this video yet, I'd highly recommend staying here with us and checking it out because there's lots of cool information that you'll be able to gather that will kind of guide you in understanding how you can use this exercise to help you the best. So fundamentally, what we've got going on here in this exercise is that we are paying attention to our breath. And you're going to see, don't worry if this feels a little bit like hasty or you don't know exactly where I'm going with it yet, don't worry. You're going to get the full, very thorough instructions in the next video. And you can also, as a note, if you go to the materials, if you're watching this in the online class and you go to the materials, you can also download the Breathe card, right? The Breathe sheet, and that'll give you step-by-step instructions as well. But for now, big picture, what we're doing is we are paying attention to our breath and then starting to count our breath, 1 when we breathe in, 2 when we breathe out, 3 when we breathe in. And what eventually will happen here is that our mind will wander off, right? We'll get distracted, we'll get bored. It's, not as exciting as some other activities might be to you. And that's totally fair. I'm not saying it should be. But, your mind will wander off, and then what will happen is you'll just want to redirect your focus back to whatever number you last remember being on. Now, what this does, this is a really well-researched technique and exercise. And, I can think just off the top of my head of, countless studies that have documented, how, mindfulness-based brain training exercises like this, how it can be used for academic achievement. If you're interested in those studies specifically, check out the link. They're also in the materials page. It should be probably right below the card for Breathe, and you can read some of those studies. Overwhelming research, though, of professors and all sorts of, PhDs and medical doctors researching how this is helpful. But basically, why this specific exercise works so well for us is because of two things. There are two things at play here. One is that, as the name of the exercise would suggest, right, it's about the breath, right, where it's all about breathing, it's about the breath. And by paying attention to our breath in this way, by kind of creating this structure around it, by counting, what oftentimes students of mine have observed is that their breath slows down. Everything slows down a little bit, and the breath gets a little deeper. And what that does when we breathe a little deeper, when we breathe a little slower, that has a direct connection to a part of our brain and nervous system, and that is called the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. They're kind of competing sides of the same system. One is the rest and relax side, and one is the fight or flight side, right? One's the anxiety, kind of feeling amped up, freaked out, that side, and the other is the kind of feeling like maybe you're in a bit of a food coma and you just want to kick back and chill. Those are the two sides. So by slowing down our breath here, we what's called downregulate or slow down how much that sympathetic nervous system is working, how much the part of our brain that's getting us amped up and freaked out and antsy, how much that's working. We slow it down, and accordingly, we feel more chill, right? Like very actively. And you're going to see when we go through this exercise in a guided way, you'll probably see at the end of the exercise that you might, I shouldn't say, you might feel a little more calm. And I say that not because you should feel that way or because this exercise is guaranteed to make you feel that way, but just because many of my students have said after doing this exercise, they feel kind of relaxed, and all of that. Again, if it doesn't do that exactly for you, that's totally fine. We have tons of different mindfulness-based brain training exercises here at Granite. So one might work better for you, one might work less well for you. That's just the nature of how these things are. But we got that one side there, right? That's the breath over here and what that's doing. On the other side, we have this fact that every time our mind wanders off, we are redirecting our focus back to our counting. And what this does, and what the impact this has on us, is in a part of the brain, a system, maybe a system, it's a couple parts of the brain, called the default mode network. This part of the brain is the part of the brain that is responsible for when our mind wanders off, right? When we are, kind of daydreaming, just thinking about other things, maybe losing focus a little bit. That is the part of the brain that is responsible for that kind of thing. And what this exercise does is it trains us to have a better awareness of when our mind is wandering off like that, so that we can then redirect our focus, have a little bit of a better sense of what this default mode network in our brain is doing, and be able to rein in our focus. We could imagine we're taking a test and maybe we're reading a passage on the test and the passage is a little boring and our mind wanders off. We're thinking about all sorts of things, and then before you know it, you look down and you're 4 paragraphs later and you're like, I have no idea what I read. We've all been there. I know you can sympathize with that. This exercise is training us to basically notice a little quicker, like, oh, wow, look at that. My mind's wandering off. I got to bring it back. And as we continuously practice this exercise, we will get better and better at focusing for longer amounts of time without our mind wandering off. Researchers have seen that, for 8 weeks or, longer of practicing this exercise daily, participants, their brain in certain areas that have to do with memory, focus, attention span, stuff like that, actually grew. The brain, literally more connections formed, and what's called the gray matter of the brain actually grew. So really incredible stuff. Again, I won't, go too much into the science, but if you're really interested in that, you really like science, you want to learn more, all these articles are here. Check them out. Go ahead. You can read them, see what you think. But that's the main idea, right? We've got this idea here of, we're not necessarily slowing down, but potentially slowing our breath down, which is going to kind of down-regulate, slow down our sympathetic nervous system. And we're working on better understanding and training the default mode network of our brain, the part that's going to cause our mind to wander off, so that when we're sitting here taking a test, doing an academic assignment of any sort, we can feel like we're going to sit here in a pretty calm sense, like we can feel pretty calm over here, but we can also feel very focused. And you can only imagine, right, if you're taking a test and you're feeling very calm and very focused, you're likely going to prefer the experience of taking that test, and you might even perform a little bit better on that test as well. So looking forward to seeing you all in the next video, where I'm actually going to guide you through this exercise, and we're going to do it together and see how it goes. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye.